There we go. All right, let's do this. Let's go ahead. Let's do it over. Let's start over.
From the top.
I'm
Angel Merritt.
I'm Dwayne Merritt. I guess I'm your husband.
This is Marriage Matters with the Merritts.
Yeah.
Welcome back to our podcast.
Welcome back.
Name all them places you can catch it.
Man, you can catch us, let me see, SoundCloud. You can catch us on iTunes. You can catch us on Google Play. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on Facebook. And it's all Marriage Matters with the Merritts. So what we do, we put up 30 minutes on Facebook Live. And then after we do the 30 minutes on Facebook Live, we put the entire episode on SoundCloud, on YouTube, on iTunes.
The Apple?
If you got an iPhone, you can just go to podcasts and type in Marriage Matters with the Merritts. It come right up. Google, if you got an Android, you can go in and put Marriage Matters. So we on a ton of different outlets, but we give you just a little bit on Facebook Live so that we can just kind of get you thinking and get you rolling. But you can go.
Yeah. Before I forget, because a few people we have. I mean, of course, we know a lot of single people.
Yeah.
And single people have told us, well, is this show just for married people?
No.
It's not just for married people.
Not at all.
We weren't always married. And
this is true.
So this is for married people. It's for people who want to be married one day. I mean, it's for everybody.
It's for everybody. Absolutely.
I mean, because we're not just talking about marriage stuff.
Right.
We're talking about life principles or just whatever topics people give us to talk about.
And then think about this: if you're not married but you want to be married, what a better way to get a jump on the information? So all right. Let's get it. You ready?
We got 30 minutes.
Okay.
So we have two topics today.
Yep.
The first one came up. We were talking about something randomly.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, "Y'all should talk about that."
Yeah.
On the next podcast. So that was talking about how do you act or react based on, do you really hear what the person, your spouse, is saying? Right.
So I was telling a story, and I was telling my part of the story, and then this kind of came up. But should I tell the story first, or should we talk about?
No.
Okay.
I mean, all
right.
We could tell the story, but first let's tell what you're about to say.
That's why I love you. Let's set it up for the story. No, but what we're talking about is psychological projection in relationships. And what that is, it's a real thing. And most people in relationships don't know that it's an actual thing. And what it is that you tend to put off, or you tend to hear people according to what you've been through in life. So if you don't have a third party, and this is how we found out about this, if you don't have a third party that can listen to you, or you're not aware of what you do or how you process, you may think somebody is saying something that they not, just based on your paradigm. And we know that a paradigm is simply the platform that you make decisions from. So let me tell this story, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about. So me and Angel, our first 6 months of marriage, 6 months to a year, was real rocky. And even though we've been together for a long time.
Did you know it was rocky, though?
I really didn't. I knew it wasn't, it didn't feel like it was all that it should be based on us being together for so long. But I didn't know how rocky it was.
Because I knew it was rocky.
I mean, I knew it was rocky, but I didn't know it was that rocky.
That's when we was going through the phase. Like, a lot of times you think we be mad and we just think they know why we mad.
She wouldn't tell me. I don't know what you don't tell me.
Yeah, I used to be saying some bad stuff in my head. I can't even say it out loud.
This is true. But I didn't know, because a lot of times women, and I don't want to.
I was like, what did I get myself into?
And we had been together forever. And then we get married. So marriage changes the dynamic to everything. I don't know
how, so many people say that. Like, it's just a piece of paper.
Oh, it's not just a piece of paper.
Oh, my God. We have been together for
years.
Like 16 years.
Yep.
Before we got married. And let me tell you. Now, we never lived together, though. Maybe that's probably a big part of it, too.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't used to living with somebody either. I mean, it was night and day. I felt like we got married. And we thought, after waiting all that time, and then you get that somebody.
Yeah.
And then we got married, and it was completely different. But that's another topic. I don't even.
That's
want to
a good one. But you don't know people until you really move in with them. And then some people say that's why I tried first. But still, when you get married, it's a different dynamic because you're dealing with commitment, and that's a real different dynamic. So we'll be very transparent.
And I will say this: we did go through premarital counseling.
We went through premarital counseling, absolutely.
And we still wasn't prepared for
no, because it's a different. Listen, if you used to taking care of yourself your whole existence and you merge that with somebody else that's independent, now we going to bump heads on a whole lot of stuff. So you got to figure out what's good and what's not. What can we live with and what we can't. I don't care who you are. You got to figure that out. So we were rocky, man. And we do marriage counseling, but we also encourage people to get marriage counseling all the time. Just because it's good don't mean you don't need counseling. You need somebody else to hear your thoughts. And I know that people are against counseling, especially my African American brothers and sisters. We don't do counseling until it's way too late. So we were, and this was years in, we were on our way to some rocky times, and it got to the point we was like, we need to get counseling. You know, because we're not seeing eye to eye. We need to get counseling. And this is where projection works. I had just got laid off of my first. We moved into our house. I got laid off my job. So I'm dealing with feeling less than a man. Because I'm going to be 100. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. All my income was gone. And so I was feeling less than a man. So because that was my paradigm, and I was struggling with that, anything my wife said to me, I took it from that perspective. Mm-hmm. So one day she came home and she said, this is all she said. And let me give her a plug, a kudos. She never played me like that. She asked me more about the money when I was down than when we were up. She made sure, she purposely said, let me make sure that my husband know that no matter what he go through, he's still the guy. So I appreciated that. But man, she came home one day and she said, you didn't take out the trash or something. That's all she said. Man, I blew up. What do you mean? Let me tell you where my fellas at. Come on, y'all. Let me tell you what I do. You don't know what I do. We went to counseling, and long story short, the counselor said, say what you said to him. And she said it. She said, this is what I said. And I
said, you forgot to take out the trash.
And I just went off.
And then
I'm like, she told me I ain't nothing.
The counselor said, well, what did she just say?
Yep.
And she said, I don't do nothing. You know, I ain't did nothing all day. And I did this. I mean, like, he went on it and literally, like, all I said is, hey, you forgot to take out the trash. So then that's when he had brought up, he was like, so you heard her say all that you just said. And he was like, yeah, that's what she said. And the therapist was like, no, that's what you heard. But what she said is you forgot to take out the trash. So then even though me and him had this whole argument prior to going to counseling, he still never could hear what I was saying.
Absolutely. And the reason I couldn't hear was because when you are in a place and you see yourself a certain way, you judge what people say according to that. And she had areas where I would say things to her. Like, so my wife, if you know, she got her master's, you got your master's when you was pregnant. Or was that your bachelor's?
That was my bachelor's.
She got her bachelor's. She was pregnant with twins. She got her bachelor's, she got her master's. And so background plays a lot into it because she was always held to this certain standard. So we would get in situations and I would say stuff like, man, you'll figure it out. You smart. You'll figure it out. And she would just go like what I did with the trash, and come to find out that was an area that she was dealing with. That when I said that, it set her off. So this is my point. In relationships, you hear according to how you view yourself, not according to what people say. So we can cut out a lot of arguments if we just understood who we are and we can understand what projection is. So projection in relationships is you putting how you feel on somebody else. And it's not just in relationships. It's with your friends. It's with your co-workers. You will put on them. So you'll come in, they'll say something, and you'll be like, and I know we all been there. I know what you're saying by that. I know what you mean. Mm-hmm. I know what you really mean by that. And really, they might not mean anything.
But sometimes you really just mean whatever it is you said.
Right. I mean what I said. So there's two aspects to hearing, really hearing. It's what you're saying and then it's what I'm interpreting.
Right.
So that's two. So
based on where you are is how you hear it.
Absolutely, based on where you are. So you usually hear from a paradigm, and the person talking usually speak from their paradigm, and that's why we have to mind the things of each other. The greatest thing in a relationship or the greatest thing in a marriage is taking care of the needs of your spouse. Because when I do consider her, then I'm considering how she's hearing things. And then she's considering how I'm hearing things. And then we consider how we speak to each other. So one of the most important things in a relationship is how you see yourself individually so you can understand the dynamic together. So there is this thing, and I'll say this real quick. There's a simple psychological projection term. It's most often described as an attempt to cope with anxiety caused by having an unpleasant or frightening thoughts, feelings, or impulses. So what this is saying, this is a real thing. When you're frightened, when you're scared, when you're having impulses, when you're stressed out, you tend to hear whatever you want to hear, what you think you hear.
Right.
It don't matter what you're stressed out for. When you're stressed out, you tend to hear what you want to hear.
And however you feel about yourself,
you hearing that.
So
that's
however
good.
You meet like somebody that you know has low self-esteem about whatever it is, but then they down everybody else. Yeah. Because it's really they just want to sometimes they want to take the attention off of themselves. So
right.
If I'm not where I want to be in life, it makes me feel better to project that onto somebody else and down wherever they are in life.
Right. So projection is literally taking how you feel and you're putting it on other people. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example of projection. And I say this all the time. People that steal think everybody steals. Mm-hmm. Like people that steal, they think everybody steal. People that lie, they think everybody lie. So it's a projection. So listen to this. So this is attempted. So when you feel like you're backed into a corner, you start to get into this anxiety phase. You begin to project that on other people. And what happens is you don't really want those unwanted thoughts or feelings or impulses. So you use words like, I don't think like that. I don't feel like that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that. But I can tell. So in other words, you're guarding yourself from hurt and you don't even know it. Now, how do you think that can affect you in a relationship? If I'm guarding from you, I don't want you to say nothing to me, and because I'm throwing all of my hurt, all of this stuff on you, how do you think that affects the relationship just from normally functioning?
Because then because what you're dealing with now, you're basically shutting me off based on what you're feeling. I'm not even dealing with that, not even aware of what you're dealing with. Because sometimes these are things that should be discussed in premarital counseling. That's not.
Yep.
We should, and a lot of times it has, whatever you're dealing with, it doesn't even have anything to do with me. It's something that happened in your childhood. Like you talk about dealing with rejection or whatever. That was before I even existed, before you even knew me.
Right.
So now, because you're dealing with rejection, basically you have this wall up.
Yeah.
And anything I say, you're hearing it through rejected ears.
Yep.
And then it's causing a conflict, and we never get to the root of the cause.
Right.
The problem.
And I think in a relationship, we got to hold each other down. So a lot of times when you deal with these projection issues, you kind of push the other person away, and they don't know what's going on, so they stop even trying to help. They don't want to deal with it.
And then you start preparing. What do people always say that when you're not listening, you're just waiting to respond.
Yeah, you're listening to respond as opposed to
respond instead of listening to understand.
Right.
And that's what happens, because if I'm already in my mind thinking that whatever I'm saying to you, this is how you're going to respond, I'm not even listening for your answer, because I'm already calculating in my mind what you're about to say.
Absolutely.
And then I'm just responding off of that.
Absolutely. Now listen, when one of the partners is taking their own worst fears about themselves into their own considerations, they do this because they really don't want the partner to really acknowledge that in them and to see that in them. And I want to say this real quick, and we'll get to how to cope with it. But we've all been in a situation where we can't take a compliment. Mm-hmm. Especially in the marriage. Now, it seems like that's weird in the marriage. But sometimes, even if it's not in a marriage, even if it's a relationship, somebody give you a compliment and the first thing you say is, they're lying.
Or
right?
What you want.
What do you want from me? Because you can't see yourself that way, so you can't really receive what somebody is giving to you.
Right.
And that's a dangerous place to be in. And so we never want to get in a position in a relationship where we giving our spouses compliments and they're saying, no, I'm not accepting it. Because the first thing then they'll say is, you never compliment me.
Right.
It's
so
not
now,
that
why all of a sudden now?
It's not that I don't compliment you. It's that you're not able to receive the compliment. The compliment because you're projecting your negative thought on me. You're hearing what you want to hear. So this is the question, Angel. How do we deal with that, or how would we attack that and break that down? It's a very real issue.
It's the first thing is discussion. You have to talk about it. You
Say
have to
the D word.
Yeah, you have to have a discussion, a real talk.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things is this. Now, self-esteem is called self-esteem for a reason. Because it comes from oneself. So I'm going to run through these because I want to get to what Angel got over there because I think that's some good stuff. But I'm going to give you these real quick. Number one, this is how we cope with projection and hearing the right way. Number one, remind yourself that no one really knows what other people is thinking or feeling. In other words, whenever you talk to someone, your spouse or anyone, you have to remind yourself, they don't know what I don't tell them. Right. Women, they don't know what you don't tell them. Is that why you alluded to this earlier? But
because we assume y'all should know.
There you go.
I'm mad. You should know why I'm mad.
All right, two more. I'm mad. You should know why I'm mad. Remember that the more stress you're under, the more likely you are to project your own deep feelings and impulses onto other people. So you got to be cognizant of yourself and who you are. Number 3, sometimes the only way you can tell how stressful a situation is to have someone in your corner that can give you the information slowly. You got to have somebody you can call to say, man, am I tripping? This is what happened to me.
Right.
Number 4, relationships in which you feel safe exploring your reactions. In those relationships, you got to be able to take constructive criticism, the good, the bad, the ugly, and you have to be able to put that in play in your everyday lifestyle. So if this is something that you do realize you do, you got to agree on a signal from your spouse. Watch this. If I know that I do this, if I know I'm bad with projection and I'm bad with hearing what I want to hear, I got to have a conversation with my wife before we go through it and say, look, give me a signal if I'm tripping. And I'm going to trust your signal.
What's the signal?
Well, with us, it's, what do I always say when we get into it? What do I say when we get into it? Every time we get into it, I say, this is my signal. When me and Angel getting into it and we about to have a blowout.
If we mad at each other, like I'm really mad at him about something, then he'd be like, you know what, baby, you right.
I'll be like, baby.
You right.
You right.
And it make me so
right,
mad,
baby.
but then I can't stop laughing. Cause then I just start laughing because I know he doing it to irritate me. But what can you say if somebody's telling you that you're right? Like I can't even argue no more. Because
at that point, it don't even matter. And that's a method that we teach called bottom line. Once I say that, for those of you that's on the audio, she just act like she was stabbing me with a pen. But bottom line, that's our bottom line. So remember, paradigm. You usually project onto other people your fears and your issues, and you usually hear what you want to hear because you have that hang up.
Because sometimes, ladies, we just want to be mad. Like sometimes it don't even be a big deal, but I don't know what it is. It's just something in our bones or our DNA. But sometimes I just be wanting to be mad. I wake up and I'll be like, I'm just gonna be mad today.
That is so wrong. Like, what's wrong with you? Women, that's how y'all do. Oh, listen. Now, all of y'all that's watching right now, can you please comment on that? Because I think that's so wrong.
No, that's just the way sometimes you want some attention.
No, that's not the way to get attention. Come on, man. What are y'all talking about?
It's so funny, like, because I really don't have,
That shows
like...
you care when you try to figure out what's going
I don't have a reason to be mad, and then he then sometimes then I'm stuck because then he be like, "What you mad about?" So then I got to think of something to be mad about. Like, all right, I got to play this thing out to the end.
By that point, I do know she bullcrap.
But then
I was like, man, whatever.
Like, I'm gonna come pick you up for lunch today.
Yeah, I'm gonna come get you for lunch.
Then I'm like, yes.
This is so wrong, man. So in other words, she feeling some type of way and she project that onto me. This works in every area of life. So I just cannot believe the way you process, man. That's why we had a bunch of problems when we first got married. Go ahead.
I know, but now you be on to me, so it don't work that good.
It don't work no more. And it's all good.
Well, why Michelle say I'm crazy?
Yes, Michelle, she is definitely. That's the
look, but he won't leave.
Where am I going?
So wait,
where am I gonna go?
Well, don't that mean he just as crazy?
No, like, that means that I've learned how to build a defense mechanism to put up with your stuff. Now that I know.
Hey y'all, I've been through a lot. Y'all ever heard?
No, man, whatever. No, nobody would hear that.
11 years I sacrificed.
Come on, you ain't. This ain't. What's the movie? Waiting to Exhale. And you ain't Mary J. Blige. Talking about and all the time that I was loving you.
Look, all right.
Come on, man.
Belle Shante said all women do that. See,
but why?
She know what I'm talking about.
Listen. This is what I'm talking about projection. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. This is the first time I've ever heard that. That's cool. You mean to tell me you wake up purpose to be mad and make us suffer because you want to be mad that day?
But then you take me to lunch.
But
we have a good time.
No,
right.
This is crazy.
Right.
This is absolutely insane.
Yeah, he'd be like, baby, let's just go away for the weekend.
Oh, well, okay.
I am learning something new because this is insane. So the days that I feel like, oh man, I might have did something wrong, I got to make it up to her. It's just you feeling like
because sometimes I just be playing. Now, y'all know me. Y'all know, like, sometimes I'm real silly, right? So
she is.
Sometimes I just be playing. Like,
for those of you that think she the serious one,
I just be playing and I be playing like I'm mad, but then I be stuck, like. Cause then he think I'm mad.
You can't play like that.
So then I'm like, nah, I gotta play this thing out to the end.
That's why I don't pay you no attention no more. I don't pay her. When that type of stuff happen, I just be like, yeah, she'll be all right by 3:00. That is crazy. Why do women do that?
You be like, dang, I can't.
No, that is terrible. Oh, that is.
She said it doesn't make sense. But it feels right for the moment.
This is unbelievable. Men, if I wish I had some men on here. This is unbelievable. And I'm so jacked up because I didn't know this. I didn't know this is how you process. But that's perfect projection. You're projecting that.
It just be like a joke gone wrong. But yeah.
You know, you got to stick with it.
I be in too deep.
Well, I guess it's real as long as you, I mean.
They don't get mad.
You honest about it.
And then sometimes I'll text them like, I think I'm pregnant.
But you don't even have the equipment to get pregnant anymore.
I know.
Listen, she can't get pregnant anymore unless it's like God for real. So that's when I know she playing around. Because she can't get pregnant.
I mean, like, it's my hormones. I think I'm pregnant.
Oh man, that is terrible. But I guess it is real. Women do this thing. So I guess you be trying to get lunch out of me. All right, whatever. Or a trip, whatever. And I think I got to make it up to her the whole time. I know I got men out there that be like, man, I come
home from work, the house be clean.
Because I'm trying to stack up the points for later. You know what I mean?
It's like that thing with the, what's the experiment with the dog? And
oh, yeah.
So then, he starts to salivate when he hear the bell ring, whatever. So then, so you feed into it. So then I start realizing, like, dang, I don't even got to be mad for real. And then the house be clean, like I get something out of it.
That is terrible, man. That is terrible. And women do this. Get off me. Let me go. Get off me. And we be talking. It's so funny because we be talking about women, and we be having real talk, and we be talking about women and men, and we always get on how women got the power. We be like, y'all know y'all got the power, and this is a terrible example of it. Let's move on. What you got? I gotta rethink this whole thing.
Oh boy! All right,
this is unbelievable.
So
wait, before you go there, do not project your issues on your in your relationships. Find out what the issue is and cure the issue. Amen. Go ahead.
But
what else you got?
You in too deep. You in too deep. So the next topic, I think we only got 10 minutes left.
Because it's like it started a little late. So.
Yeah, we started.
No,
late.
we'll add 10 to it because I wanted to try to cut this up, so we'll add 10. Go ahead.
Okay, so I don't even know who brought this topic up, but somebody, it might have been one of y'all sisters over here, and talking about the effects of social media on your relationship.
Wow.
And surprisingly, my 72-year-old father, he was like, that is a wonderful topic. I'm like, you don't even know how to use Facebook.
He don't even. Every week he be like, I want a flip phone. Go get me a flip phone. So I don't know.
I remember when flip phones first came out. That was the stuff.
Yeah, back then before you had apps.
He like, this is just too much. But he thought it was a good idea to talk about social media because he said my mother is on Facebook too much. Now keep in mind my parents are 65 and 72.
She's a YouTube lady though.
Yeah, she loves watching YouTube.
Yeah.
So I had looked on. Now this is the thing. I didn't write down all the statistics, but what I thought was interesting, it said people, of course, or millennials or people who 10 years ago or less, who got into social media 10 years or less, just have a different opinion or outlook on it. Because like Facebook and all that stuff, it really just started hitting the scene like 10 years ago. Around that time.
Yeah.
So we kind of went into it different than people like, people who grew up in it.
Right.
That's all they know.
Right.
We
like
was,
our kids.
Yeah, like when we had, what was our first? MySpace, I think.
Yeah, it was MySpace, Black Planet. And those.
Spot.
Yeah, see, I don't even know about that one.
And those outlets were a little different. Because
it was different. And we had dial-up internet.
Yeah, you didn't have high speed.
Yeah, like it wasn't on your phone, so you had to actually, dial up on the computer and wait.
It took forever to get on.
Yeah, I mean, it was just too much. We just didn't have all this access we have now. So now it's different.
Yep.
So what I found online, I had looked up some statistics for 2018. There's an article, you can look it up, and it says why social media causes divorce.
Wow.
And 7 ways that is ruining your relationship. So y'all can comment. I'm going to read these and give me your opinion, your feedback. Number 1. More than 10% of people say that Facebook is a source of jealousy and danger.
I agree.
And ain't that crazy how you jealous about people? Some people you don't even know. And it causes people to be jealous.
Yeah. I think it's psychological. Like this thing becomes so real to you that you really think it's for real.
Then number 2. Facebook usage is the one reason couples fight. And the main fight is how much time is wasted. Now, that I can see. And I'm talking, just period. Because even though, like, you don't even want to get caught up in it, but it's like you trapped. Like, because I'm not even like a big social media person. I got Facebook. I spend more time on LinkedIn than any other social network. Yeah. But it is. It's like once you get in and then you click on a link, then you want to read. You read about something that some more useless information, and then now you want to know how they related and how this happened. Then it's like you look up and you done been scrolling for an hour.
And not to mention that you have really that's our news now.
Yeah.
Like you really got to do research to differentiate what's real and what's fake. And the thing is, the social media age makes us we want everything faster because we can get it. But the downside is relationships take work, so it butts up against what some of this reality is.
And Tiffany said it brings out insecurities, and it does because look, I didn't know about like filters and all this stuff. Because I used to be like, dang, everybody just looks so pretty on, these pictures and all this stuff. And then Juan was like, those are filters. I'm
filters,
like,
man.
What is a filter? I don't even know about all this stuff. And, so a lot of times it brings out these insecurities. And it's like, but these people, whoever you looking at, they just like you. It ain't no different.
Right.
They just know how to use filters.
Right.
And, some people...
We all have flaws, man.
Yeah, everybody have flaws.
We all have flaws, absolutely.
So, number 3. 1/3 of people keep their passwords from their partners. What are you doing?
Putting up the 3.
Oh, I thought you was throwing up.
No, I was letting them know that it was number 3.
Yeah, I thought he was stacking or something. Yeah, so 1/3 of people keep their passwords from their partners. A study found that 1 in 10 adults admit to hiding certain posts or messages from their partner. Michelle just said it.
Ooh,
what did Michelle say?
Social media promotes jealousy because everyone puts their best on social media and never shows their worst.
Wow, absolutely. Yeah, yep. I think the problem is that you become, and y'all listen to this. I was watching the study, and I think that's right, Michelle. I was watching the study, and they said that the way they came up with the like button was very strategic, psychologically. They said, how can we get people to keep coming back to Facebook? They found out that when you get certain likes, it sets off endorphins in your mind that kind of has the same impact that eating sugar or doing drugs have on your brain. Mm-hmm. So people do, they'll put out what they don't have. Like I'm going to take a picture in front of this Bentley that's not mine. And I'm not going to say it's mine, but if I take the picture the right way, you'll see the Bentley. And I think that's a false representative.
That's just too much work.
Right. And I always tell people this. Don't do it for the gram or Facebook, but let Facebook or the gram peek in on who you really are.
Yeah, but Brittany said people front for social media. You can be somebody completely different if you want to be. And that's so true.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And you see so many relationships, I mean, for the good and the bad. Sometimes I see people on social media and it's like, I love my husband. I love, everything's great, peaches and cream. And then they be the same one sitting in our office for marriage counseling.
Peaches and cream.
We can't stand each other. We don't sleep in the same room. But I'm like, you was just on Facebook.
Don't put it on the book.
Yesterday.
Listen, let me explain to you what a lie does. A lie locks you in to whatever it is you're lying about. What people don't realize about social media is that even though it's a picture or it's a statement, you're still telling your truth. What's supposed to be your truth. So if you misrepresent your truth, now you're locked to that. Like, you can't be flashing $1 million and then ask somebody who's your friend to borrow 10. Because even if they give you the 10, they still looking at you weird. So you got to be careful of what you lock yourself up with. Now, that's just a real biblical principle. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. That type of deal. So I think it works in every area. So that's good stuff. Or is it bad stuff? Good stuff.
What about the part that said that the adults admit to hiding certain posts or messages from their partner?
I think if you in too deep. Well, you got to. I mean,
what, going down in the DM? That wasn't no joke.
Yeah, but think about it. Social media is addictive. It's like a real addiction. You got people like, if you addicted to porn or you're addicted to something like that, it's the same way with social media. If you got any hang-ups, you might click on something that you really know you shouldn't click on, but you click on it and it could suck you in. You gotta hide that.
So that's what people do. What's interesting, number 4, it said less than 10% have secret social media accounts. So they said what they found in their research is that back in the day, people used to have a lot of fake accounts to do all their dirt. But now people are more open to, if I'm gonna do dirt, I'm just gonna do it. Now they might not share their password and all that, but they go do it on their real account. Basically.
Social media make you a little bit more open these days than what you're sharing things you never would have shared. When we didn't have social media, we had, how many of y'all remember when you had to take the picture and then you had to take it to the store? Yeah. And then you had to wait to see if you liked any of the pictures you took. You didn't know a picture was blurry for 2 weeks. Right. So you wasn't sharing like that. Now with the phones and the technology and Steve Jobs saying, I want an iPhone in the hand of every American, now you can just upload pictures. So you're more open now, and it could be a good thing and a bad thing. If you straight up, you good. If you got stuff that,
I can see where you at in life.
Yes.
So number 5. 25% of couples fight weekly about Facebook. So 1 in 7 couples divorce. They discuss divorce due to Facebook.
Wow,
Isn't
come
that
on.
crazy?
That can't
Who would
be
have
right.
thought
That can't
15
be right.
years ago that Facebook would be a cause of divorce?
That's crazy. But it's so real. It's the world we live in.
Yes, Tiffany. Social media allows you to have a false sense of reality.
Yeah, it does.
Like, then people get it twisted.
It's
you know,
the Matrix.
It's unbelievable. It's like living in a Twilight Zone sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
A fifth of people doubt their relationship because of what they found on Facebook.
Wow.
So it said 1 in 5 people found something about their spouse that made them feel uneasy.
Yeah.
But get this, less than half of those people will actually confront their spouse.
Wow.
So you might find something, or you might see, oh well, he's liking all these women pictures, or whatever you might find, because every woman think they a detective looking on everybody's like.
Every woman is a detective.
But that was the crazy thing, because I never been that type of person though, because
Yeah.
I just don't have that much time.
Yeah.
But
you got OCD though. You're OCD-ish.
Yeah,
So
but I had at my last job, I remember this girl, and I was just in shock, and she thought somebody was I don't know if she thought somebody was cheating on her, whatever the situation was, but she had just showed me all this detective work she was doing, like right away. She was like, look girl, I done logged in and I figured out his password, and
wow.
I contacted this girl. I mean, it was just crazy. I'm like, how you have time to do all that?
How you figure that out?
Hey, you got loans to be working on, That's what I was really thinking. But it's just amazing that people, but if the thing is if you think somebody cheating and you have to go through all of that, is it even worth it?
Yeah. Well, but
if I got to do that much investigation.
Yeah, but how much of that is not you think the person cheating, but it's your own insecurities
right,
also.
It's projection.
It's projection. Right, back to projection, because I think sometimes these people some people look for something, they don't find nothing. Well, the question is, why you looking?
Right.
That's an insecurity. So I think it's two things going on there. You got the person that's looking for something and they find something, then you got the person looking for something and ain't nothing there. So I think those both are kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they say if you look, you
gonna find something.
Because sometimes you go find, even if
it ain't nothing there,
even
you'll
if
make something.
You're gonna make something out
Absolutely.
of it.
Yep.
How much time we got?
1 minute.
We got 1 minute left.
Yep.
Okay.
Finish that last one. And then y'all can get this. I'll say it again on our outlets, but go ahead.
But ain't it crazy though that they don't confront the person? So
yeah, that's crazy.
So then that's when you be mad for real.
Yeah.
If you holding it in.
But if you gonna go for it, you gotta go for it. At least give him or her the opportunity to say this is what it is. Because let's just be 100. Let's just say somebody do got an issue with looking at things they probably don't even want to look at, and you find it. Don't jump automatically. You cheat on me. Why jump? Do you got a problem you haven't told me about? That's a very real thing. Mm-hmm. If you got somebody that's dealing with looking at stuff that they addicted and they shouldn't be, that's a very real thing. And you say, well, do you have it? Yeah, I got an issue. It's not even that, mm-hmm. I mean, we talk to people like that all the time. So please let the person know. Give them an opportunity.
Okay, number 7.
Number 7.
Majority of lawyers, 81%, use social media evidence in divorce cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
81%.
Yeah.
And because they all found something that the person either lied about. Everybody do this whole check-in thing now. Yeah. They check in everywhere. Like, I just woke up, I'm checking in. I'm in my car, I'm checking in. I'm at work, checking in.
The bed.
I'm like, man, okay, we get it.
We get it. You gone.
But that checking in, they said that it causes, they are able to use that in the court of law because somebody will say, they've lined it up, lawyers, and said, well, you checked in at this place on this date, so this is proof you were cheating because you were with this person. You were at this, and this person was here. And they checked in. They put this whole thing together, but it's just insane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so social media is a weird world now. It's funny. I saw a post that said this, and it really was true. It said we used to go to social sites and social media to escape real life, and now we go off social. We get rid of social media. I'm tongue tied. We used to go to social media to escape real life. real life stress.
The whole point
Now
was to connect with people who you were actually friends with.
No, but it says now we gotta basically, we used to go to the computer to take a break from real life. Now we gotta go to real life to take a break from the computer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
I jacked that up. But
ain't that scary though?
That is a scary thought. Unplug is the scary thought. You got anything else on there?
No,
we
gonna
keep
7.
Okay. So listen, you'll notice certain things with this podcast. Let me say this and then we're ending. Like when the podcast first started, I realized that it was something that I didn't do. So I just got up and I did it, and I left Angel hanging for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Why do we keep that in there? Because we're not ashamed of growing with you.
Our bloopers.
These are our bloopers. So this is the social media stuff. We're not gonna make it. It don't got to be perfect to us, but it do got to be authentic. So last week we had the thing with Sade, and we didn't have no problem with that. So we don't care about that stuff because this is us growing. So I want to thank you for joining us, and just know that that's how we'll move. If we see something, we'll do it, and that's what makes it so fun to us. Is because we're confident in who we are, and sometimes it's good to go back and look at that. It's good to go back and look at that type of stuff. So we are not those people. If you know us, you know how we move. So look, we'll just do it and laugh about it later. Plus, when we get to where we're going in 10 years and we look back to that, it'll even be more fun. But listen, in 1 hour, I'm going to upload this entire thing. We're going to talk about projection a little more, hearing a little more, communication, and we're going to talk about social media. We're going to keep the discussion going. Go to SoundCloud, and you can hear the entire episode. If you're listening on SoundCloud, I'm not going to remove this out. I'm not going to edit it out, but you'll hear this because I still want you to know on SoundCloud, you can go to iTunes to hear it. And I want you to know on iTunes, you can go to YouTube and watch it and hear it. And I want you to know on YouTube, you can go to Google Play for Android, you can watch it and hear it. So I'm going to leave this little commercial in. So you'll be hearing this on SoundCloud, and then Facebook Live. Go to the Marriage Matters with the Mirrors page, like it, share it, do all of those things. Keep commenting on it. If you got something you want us to discuss, please put it on there, and we're going to keep this going.
And I did want to point out when we were talking about counseling and all that stuff at the beginning, just we like to put it out there. We see professional counselors ourselves.
We go
at least twice a year.
Yes, we go to counseling.
And it's not because it's an issue or something wrong, but we just think it's healthy.
We stay ahead of the problem.
Because how much can we help somebody else if we're not willing to get help ourselves? So
absolutely.
Sometimes just because our lives are so busy and we're going through so much, sometimes it's stuff that we don't even realize we need to talk about.
That's right.
So sometimes we'll just go sit on the couch with our counselor and they, he'll just bring up stuff. Anything going on? No, not really, But then you just get that opportunity to talk about whatever you don't even know you need to talk about.
And let me say this to that. Sometimes the things you need to talk about is not the things that you need to correct, but it's things that you want to better. So it's a great feeling to go to a counselor and say, we're not really beefing right now, but I would like to work on this. I would like to work on this. And then we're not mad because we're just trying to get better. So don't wait to the end to seek out counseling. Go now. Go. Oh, I'm sorry. Go now. I just hit her mic.
You just go hit my mic like that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But we gonna keep that in there too. But we'll holler, man. We're going on Facebook Live, but on
For me, the one that bothers me the most is the one about how much time. Because, I'm the type of person, I feel like something has to be being accomplished every moment of my existence.
And that's a little...
And it is. I mean, it's not...
But it's not a bad thing.
And I acknowledge that. That's the thing. And this is something else I learned about myself and because not only do we do our couple session, we also see individual sessions or with a counselor. And no, as y'all see, we're very transparent because we're nowhere near perfect and all that stuff. So I realize a lot of my faults too. And in some of the areas that
I realize a lot of your faults.
No, you don't. So a part of me is that whole OCD thing, which is very real. And because everybody has one thing they deal with. Like yours was rejection. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know, but I deal with fear. People never believe that when when they find out, like, the one thing I deal with, because people think I'm not scared of anything, but it's a fear in a different sense. I'm scared or fearful of not being where I feel like that I've been expected to be.
Right. A fear of not failing the expectation or not.
Right.
Yeah.
And, which is crazy, because even going through all of that, my whole life it's always been, like you was talking about earlier, oh, Angel will figure it out. Oh, she can do this or she can do that. And sometimes when the expectations on you are so high, it puts more pressure on you, and you feel like you have to perform at a certain level all the time.
Yeah.
Like, there's no downtime in any aspect. Like,
right.
Even before I go to sleep at night, I would have to put on a load of laundry. I would have to, because I felt like something productive had to be happening in my life at all times. Like, whether it's cleaning the house, whether, even when I'm sleeping, something has to be going on. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I have been working through maybe the last 5 to 7 years. Yep. Like, something I really, it's funny when we talk about it, but it was really a serious thing, because it affected us in our marriage.
Yeah, because I didn't understand it. Like, I couldn't understand. So I'm built a little different. I feel like
he'd be like, just sit down. Let's just watch this movie.
And this is the crazy thing. I did feel like that, but I could not figure out, like, why you couldn't do it. So it was hard for me, because I would get frustrated, because I'm just saying, come sit down and watch this movie. And she's saying, and sometimes, to your credit, you would do it sometimes.
But I'd be struggling.
But she would be struggling, and then it caused us another issue, because now she's extremely tense, and I feel like
I can't relax, because I'm thinking about what I need to do.
And I'm like, well, what is it, a problem, or what's going on?
And once again, I think this is something just me, like an issue that I have, and this is something that had to be brought out in our marriage counseling when we went to see a therapist, and the therapist had to explain to him, like, for you it's easy, just like somebody smokes cigarettes, we say, can't you just stop smoking? It's to us it's easy, just don't smoke, it's killing you. But if it's a addiction or a bad habit or whatever, it's not that easy to just stop. And our counselor had to explain that to him, that it was really like kind of like an illness.
Yeah, like an addiction.
It was like I couldn't shut off my brain, like literally.
Yep.
And this is before we knew I had a brain disease, and I just could not shut down. So
that was her other disease,
right? And that's what was so ironic about it, is that I was dealing with all that, like, and then end up having a brain disease for real. But I literally could not, like, even I would tell myself, like, I'm gonna leave them, because when I was young, on top of me dealing with this, when I grew up, we weren't allowed to go to sleep with the kitchen being dirty. My father, was military. My mother is a neat freak.
Yeah.
So I hated it when I was a kid. If I went to sleep, my parents would wake us up at 3 a.m. Get down there and wash them dishes, whatever, vacuum. And so I hated it when I was a kid. But then you realize you turn into your parents as an adult.
Yes, you do.
And then even though the very thing that I used to hate that I had to do, but now that became a part of me. So on top of me already feeling anxious about whatever, now compiled with, growing up a certain way, it just made it that much more difficult. So I would use that, something as simple as dishes being in the sink. So like he would cook. Most of the time, everybody know my husband is the cook in our household.
That's what I do.
I don't really do too much cooking. But, he would cook, and I would be like, I can't sit down until I wash the dishes. Like, I would have to clean the kitchen as soon as he's done cooking. And he'll be like, because he used to get mad at me and say, sit down and eat with the family.
Yeah.
Like, he would just want me to sit at the table, which I didn't mind doing, but I couldn't concentrate and sit at the table if I knew the kitchen was dirty. Yeah. So, like, I would have to. Yeah.
Now, I want to just tell about how I felt, because I think that's a great point that you made. But I used to get offended, because in my mind, I'm cooking for the family, and it's something that I kind of enjoy to do. We never really go by distinct roles. We don't do that. We figure out what's the best way to make this thing work, and we do it. We've been doing that for years. So sometimes she says she don't cook, but she will cook, and she just won't make enough, but she will cook. That's another thing that we got to work on. She will.
Come on, man.
She won't make enough, but she will cook. I like to cook so much, but we can have some leftovers for a couple days. But I'll cook.
I don't believe in waste.
It's not waste. I would cook, and then I would want my whole family to sit down, and she would stand up at the counter and eat, and I would be like, "Come sit down." You know, now this is in the early stages. Now because we've been eating as a family for years, but we're just giving you an overview of how, you know. So I would be like, come sit down, and she couldn't, and I didn't realize, but I was feeling some type of way because I didn't know that she had an issue. I just thought that she could, but she didn't want to.
And on top of that, when I grew up, my mother never sat down. She always stood up and ate, like, because my mother. When you talk about a servant's heart,
her
that's
mother
my
is
mom.
Vietnamese.
Right. So she would, and she loves to serve people. Like, she loves to feed people. So my mother, she will cook, she'll serve everybody, and she'll stand up and eat.
She'll stand up and eat.
And she'll clean the kitchen, and, you know, anybody want more, and she's constant, you know, filling up your cup, giving you more food. But she never would sit down herself. And I think even that, and from what I understand, my sisters are the same way. They all stand up and eat. But, you know, it's just amazing how much you are like your parents and you don't even realize it.
Absolutely. And you know, now I understand that it's something that was not only cultural, but it was something going on within her medulla oblongata in her brain. But once we figured it out, man, we was able to work it out, because now this is what I do. So she's gotten better with that. So we decided to meet each other halfway. So she's gotten much better with it, where now she can chill if everything is not spotless. But I don't just do that and say, well, that's how you got to be. So what I do, I try to help it. I'll clean up as much as I can. Mm-hmm. You know, so I know she can chill.
I used to get mad if he didn't do it the way that I wanted it to be done.
Oh, so, no, preach.
The other thing,
Come on, preach.
I learned this in college. And listen, y'all,
yeah.
we
done been through the ring.
Yeah, the stuff I do apply to things that I learned.
Thank you, Jesus.
What I learned in therapy is that if he's trying and he's making an attempt to do it, like, I can't be mad that he's not doing it the way I want him to. But I still need to show my appreciation that he's even trying.
Yeah.
You know, it's motivation. And this is back, you know, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But what happens is the more I encourage him or show him that I appreciate it, then he makes even more of an effort to keep doing it.
Right.
But if every time you try to do something and somebody's always tearing you down, like, well, you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right, it makes you kind of like, well, I'm just not doing nothing.
I ain't doing nothing. If you don't like it, then I ain't doing it. And I think that's...
Point at your sister.
Yes, we've been roommates for about 5 years, and we just got together, even though we grew up together.
That is you. So Sunshine used to work for me.
Ooh.
And she would, like, because you would just freeze up. Before, I didn't know what was going on when I first came there. And I just noticed, I'm like, because she was great. Like, anything I would ask her to do, she would do it. And I'd be like, you know what you're doing, so why do you keep freezing up? Like, you know, but you said it. You said you've been beat up so bad, you know, like people, other managers telling her, well, you're not doing this right, or this and that, whatever. And I'm like, but you are.
Right.
You know, and I noticed, like, the more I would tell her, like, look, you're doing a good job. You're doing what I need you to do. Then I noticed she would do more and more and more. She was like my right-hand man. And I'm still mad she left me. But she did. And that's a perfect example that I think because so many people were telling you what you were doing wrong, and they never told you what you were doing right, it caused you just to not want to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's like installing a certain type of fear, because you only want to go as far as you know you can go, and that's dangerous because you're designed to go. You're designed to push the limits,
and then you get stagnant.
You get stagnant, right? And so you would rather not do anything as opposed to do it and be wrong, or do it and what we call fail. And so one thing we try to teach is that there's no such thing as fail. It's all a seed in understanding. So even in relationship, it works the same way. So that's powerful. I think that's powerful. So,
yeah. What else you got?
Man, I did want to talk about real quick, because I know we almost there.
How many minutes we got?
We got 2 minutes on this podcast. We're right at 58 minutes, but I like to keep them to at least an hour. But this is for people who want to have who want to talk. So, but I think the whole projection issue is there's 2 keys to beating it. One is understanding self, and then understanding spouse, and then spouse understanding self, and then spouse understanding spouse. If it's a relationship where it's not spouse, whatever the relationship is, sister understanding sister understanding self. So it's really a 4-way dynamic to curing any type of projection issues. We look at it as one issue, but it's really 4 answers to curing it. So I just want to encourage everybody to push through.
Yep.
Know yourself. Push through.
Because we've come
don't
a long
we
way.
came a long way. And we still got a long way to go, but we get better and better and better. And I think one of the main things is never get to a point where you're unteachable.
Yep.
I'll pastor a church, but I'll be teachable. I can be the manager or the boss, but I'll be teachable. I can be the CEO. We can start businesses, but we'll still be teachable. Be teachable.
Learn from all your experiences. Learn.
No, you learn.
The people around you.
And another thing that I learned: stop fake being mad. That's what I learned. And we about to get out this boy.
Because you just told me you was taking me away for a weekend.
I changed my mind because you ain't mad. You gotta get mad for them type of perks. Stop fake being mad. Women, y'all gotta cut that crap out.
You were.
See, I'm not gonna tell you no more secrets if you do
No,
that.
all right. Well, just on the podcast, you could. All right. I'm gonna act like I didn't hear it.
All right.
All right.
That'll work.
You got anything?
Nope.
SoundCloud, Marriage Matters with the Merritts. YouTube, Marriage Matters with the Merritts. iTunes, Marriage Matters with the Merritts. Google Play, Marriage Matters with the Merritts.
Who are the Merritts?
I guess us.
Okay.
Facebook Live, 9 o'clock. We're not taking no bloopers out because we love them. That's who we are.
Coming
You'll
soon.
grow with us. What?
Your kids said that they wanted to be on the podcast.
Man,
that's why they're making so much noise back there.
Yeah, we're going to have our kids on the podcast and y'all see why.
But you know, today...
Y'all see why all this going great.
I will tell you this, though, before we close. Today in a car on the way back home today, I asked Hope and Faith, I said, do y'all want to get married one day? They were like, yeah. I said, to who? And they were like, somebody just like my daddy. And then...
Come on, preach. We going to go another hour. Go ahead.
But then Faith said, she was like, but... he can't look like my daddy because that'd be real creepy to be married to somebody that like my daddy.
I agree. Hey, man,
we had a long discussion.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, at least that lets me know I'm making some type of impact in their lives.
And then Hope said that she is going to be the president of the United States when she grows up.
Great.
Come on,
And
Hope.
Faith said, well, I'm just going to live in the White House with you.
And we're done on that. All right, y'all. Go check us out on all our outlets. Till next time.
We out.
Holla.